Trump as a 19th-century industrialist, the tycoon of New York. The smoke-choked skyline of Manhattan gleamed with ambition, and no man embodied that hunger more than Donald J. Trump, the self-proclaimed king of commerce. Born in 1846 to a modest German immigrant family in Queens, Trump had clawed his way from the gritty tenements to the gilded parlors of New York's elite. By his 30th birthday, he owned half the real estate in Manhattan and was the talk of every saloon, boardroom, and newspaper. Trump's empire began with a single tenement block, purchased with a loan from his father, Friedrich, a frugal carpenter. Where others saw crumbling brick and filth, Trump saw opportunity. He renovated the building, raised rents, and reinvested every penny into more properties. By 1870, he'd branded his growing portfolio, Trump Towers, plastering his name in bold, gold-leaf letters across every facade. "If you don't put your name on it," he'd say, winking at reporters, "how will they know it's the best?" His true genius, though, lay in spectacle. In 1873, Trump announced the construction of the Trump Grand Palace, a towering hotel on Fifth Avenue that promised luxury like no one's ever seen. Skeptics scoffed, land was scarce, costs astronomical, but Trump didn't just build, he performed. He hosted lavish groundbreaking ceremonies, complete with brass bands and fireworks, drawing thousands to watch. He courted the press, ensuring every paper from the New York Herald to the Brooklyn Eagle ran glowing stories about his vision. When the panic of 1873 crippled competitors, Trump bought their failing projects at a fraction of their worth, boasting, "Hard times are the best times for men with guts." But not all admired him. Laborers whispered of unpaid wages, and tenants grumbled about shoddy repairs hidden beneath gaudy decor. In 1874, a group of Irish bricklayers struck, demanding better pay for their work on the Grand Palace. Trump's response was swift. He hired Pinkerton agents to break the strike and blacklisted the leaders. "I don't negotiate with complainers," he told the Times, sparking outrage among the working class. Yet, when the Grand Palace opened in 1875, its marble halls and crystal chandeliers drew the city's elite, and Trump's reputation as an unstoppable force solidified. His ambition didn't stop at real estate. By 1878, Trump had his eyes on the railroads. Partnering with Cornelius Vanderbilt's heirs, he pushed for a transcontinental line under the Trump name. "The railroads are America's veins," he declared at a gala, "and I'm the blood pumping through them." His rivals, men like Jay Gould and J.P. Morgan, called him a brash upstart, but Trump outmaneuvered them with charm and audacity. He'd invite them to his opulent parties, ply them with champagne, and secure deals while they were distracted by the splendor. Trump's personal life was as flamboyant as his business. He married Ivana Zelnikova, a Czech heiress, in a ceremony that shut down Broadway for a day. Their home, a palatial estate in Westchester, was dubbed Mar-a-Lago, a nod to its seaside grandeur. Rumors swirled of Trump's dalliances with actresses and socialites, but he dismissed them with a grin. "The papers love a good story, and I'm the best story." By the 1880s, Trump's empire faced challenges. A federal investigation into his real estate practices uncovered questionable tax maneuvers, and a series of fires in his tenements fueled accusations of negligence. Yet, Trump spun every setback into a triumph. He held press conferences, blaming jealous enemies and promising bigger, better projects. When the Statue of Liberty arrived in 1886, Trump funded a massive celebration, ensuring his name was tied to the symbol of American opportunity. As the century turned, Trump's legacy was undeniable. His buildings shaped New York's skyline, his railroads stitched the nation together, and his name was synonymous with ambition. Critics called him ruthless, admirers called him visionary. To Trump, it didn't matter. "They're talking about me," he'd say, "and that's what counts." Trump as a medieval king. Donald the Golden of House Trump England, 1,250 inches the shadow of a storm-battered castle, King Donald I of House Trump sat upon a throne of gilded oak, his crimson cloak embroidered with a roaring lion, the sigil of his house. Born in 1215 to a minor noble family in the hinterlands of Anglia, Donald had risen to the throne through sheer force of will, cunning, and an unshakable belief in his own greatness. His coronation in 1245, at the age of 30, was a spectacle of gold and pageantry, the likes of which England had never seen. Donald's ascent began in his youth, when he inherited a modest fiefdom from his father, Frederick of Queens. Where others saw barren fields and crumbling keeps, Donald saw potential. He rebuilt his castle, naming it Trump-Hold, and adorned its towers with banners bearing his name in golden thread. A king's name must shine brighter than his crown, he'd proclaim, and shine it did. He married Ivana of Bohemia, a shrewd noblewoman whose dowry funded his ambitions. Together, they transformed Trump-Hold into a court of opulence, drawing knights, lords, and merchants eager to bask in its glory. But Donald's path to the throne was paved with conflict. In 1240, England's barons rebelled against King Henry III, plunging the realm into chaos. Donald seized the moment, rallying lesser lords with promises of wealth and glory. His charisma was unmatched. At feasts, he'd regale crowds with tales of his tremendous victories, real or exaggerated. When Henry III faltered, Donald brokered alliances with key barons, offering them titles in exchange for loyalty. By 1245, he'd outmaneuvered his rivals and claimed the crown, declaring himself Donald the Golden, chosen by destiny. As king, Donald ruled with flamboyance and iron. He rebuilt London's fortifications, erecting a massive keep dubbed the Golden Tower, its walls studded with polished brass that gleamed in the sun. He hosted tournaments and feasts, ensuring every chronicler recorded his generosity. Yet, his reign was not without strife. The peasantry groaned under heavy taxes to fund his projects, and when a famine struck in 1248, whispers of rebellion grew. Donald's response was swift. He dispatched his knights to quell dissent and blamed disloyal lords for the kingdom's woes. His foreign policy was equally bold. In 1250, Donald sought to expand his influence across the Channel, challenging the French king for control of Normandy. He led his armies personally, clad in golden armor, shouting, "We'll make England great again." The campaign faltered, but Donald spun defeat into triumph, commissioning bards to sing of his heroic stand. At home, he courted the church, donating vast sums to build cathedrals, though rumors persisted that he pressured bishops to preach his praises. Donald's court was a theater of intrigue. His children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, were groomed for power, but his favoritism toward Ivanka, whom he called the jewel of the realm, sparked jealousy. His queen, Ivana, wielded influence behind the scenes, brokering marriages to secure alliances. Yet, Donald's wandering eye led to scandals, with minstrels whispering of his dalliances with noblewomen and even a mysterious Lady of the East. By 1260, Donald's reign faced mounting challenges. The barons, tiring of his extravagance, plotted rebellion, and a Scottish invasion loomed. Yet, Donald remained unshaken. At a grand council, he stood before his lords, golden crown gleaming, and declared, "I am the greatest king this land has known. We'll win, and we'll win big." Whether through cunning, charisma, or sheer audacity, Donald the Golden held his throne, his name etched in the annals of a turbulent age. Trump as a sci-fi dictator, Supreme Leader Trump of Neon Spire, 2247. In the neon-drenched sprawl of Neon Aspire, a megacity that stretched across the eastern seaboard of a fractured Earth, Supreme Leader Donald J. Trump ruled from the pinnacle, a 1,000-story skyscraper crowned with a holographic T that pulsed across the skyline. Born in 2201 to a family of data brokers in the Queens Under-District, Trump had risen from the shadows of the cyberpunk underworld to become the unchallenged master of Neon Spire, a city-state of 50 million souls. Trump's ascent began in the 2220s, during the data wars, when corporations and hackers vied for control of the global neural net. A young Trump, armed with a knack for deal-making and a flair for spectacle, built a media empire from a single holocaust channel. His show, The Trump Directive, blended bombast, promises of wealth, and anti-corporate rhetoric, captivating a populace weary of technocratic rule. "The core lie to you," he'd bellow, his image projected into millions of neural implants. "I'm the only one who'll make Neon Spire great again." By 2230, Trump had leveraged his wealth to seize control of Neon Spire's infrastructure. He acquired failing arcologies, rebranding them as Trump Citadels, their facades ablaze with golden holograms. His private security force, the Golden Guard, patrolled the streets in sleek exosuits, enforcing his vision of order. When the corporate council tried to rein him in, Trump hacked their servers, leaking their secrets to the masses. In 2235, he declared himself supreme leader, dissolving the council and ruling by decree. Neon Spire under Trump was a paradox of opulence and oppression. The upper districts glittered with sky bridges and luxury drones, while the under district festered in poverty. Trump's policies favored the elite, granting them access to neural enhancements and biologs, while the masses toiled in data mines. Yet, his propaganda was relentless. Hollow boards across the city flashed his image, proclaiming, "Trump delivers prosperity." Public festivals, broadcast in VR, celebrated his tremendous leadership, with citizens chanting his name under the glow of fireworks. Trump's personal life was a spectacle. His wife, Ivana, 9, a cybernetic influencer with 1 million followers, managed his public image. Their daughter, Ivanka Prime, ran Trump Industries, a conglomerate that controlled everything from energy to neural implants. Rumors of Trump's affairs with hollow stars and rogue AIs filled the dark web, but he dismissed them as fake data spread by loser hackers. His rule wasn't without resistance. The Cyberfront, a coalition of hackers and disenfranchised workers, waged a guerrilla war, sabotaging Trump's data networks. In 2245, they breached the Pinnacle's servers, exposing evidence of Trump's manipulation of the neural net to sway public opinion. Trump's response was ruthless. He deployed AI-driven drones to crush the rebels, broadcasting their defeat as a warning. "Nobody undermines me," he declared, his voice echoing through every implant in Neon Spire. Trump's ambition extended beyond Earth. In 2247, he unveiled Project Star Spire, a plan to colonize Mars with a Trump-branded megacity. "The stars belong to me," he told a cheering crowd, his image projected across the planet. Critics warned of the project's cost and the strain on Neon Spire's resources, but Trump silenced them with a wave of arrests. His Golden Guard, now augmented with neural overrides, ensured loyalty. As Neon Spire teetered between grandeur and collapse, Trump stood at the pinnacle's apex, gazing over his city. The holographic T flickered, a beacon of his unyielding will. Whether Neon Spire would soar or crumble, one truth remained: Supreme Leader Trump had etched his name into the circuits of history, a ruler as dazzling as he was divisive. Conclusion. In each of these alternate histories, Donald Trump's core traits, his audacity, charisma, and relentless self-promotion, shape his path, whether as a 19th-century tycoon, a medieval king, or a cyberpunk dictator. These narratives, though fictional, reflect how a singular personality might bend the course of history, leaving a legacy that is both celebrated and contested. From the smoke-filled streets of 1870s New York to the neon glow of 2247 Neon Spire, Trump's name endures, a testament to ambition unbound by time or place.